it's always a debate whenever we figure out what's better, the past or the present. It's always depicted on how adaptability comes over into play. What's the new arms race? What's the new meta that can shift over a play style that's different from back then to how it is today? And I could confirm that it is more difficult to be a quarterback in the modern NFL than it is, even though there's rules to protect the quarterback over on roughing the passer plays, production to make sure completions are a bit more comprehended, over the pass rush being more aggressive. But disrupting reads, catching zones over in the receivers, defenses are just more equipped to stop the regular gunslinging quarterback around the pass rush, and trying to stay over in the pocket where you have hybrid edge rushers that can shift around and catch the quarterback off guard, or you'll see a two corner blitz reading out, or the quarterback, they'll catch over a spy to make sure your dual threat is slowed down. Quarterbacks are more technically sound when dealing with that type of pressure, and the sack rating over in the NFL has gotten over in a high streak, and majority of that has been with dual threat quarterbacks, like we've seen with Bryce Young. What we've even seen over with Jesus Christ, Daniel Jones, and even the touchdown rating over the past 2 weeks have been over in a lower rate, because the defenses has just been more adjustable over in read option RPO plays, and possibly that could be because the development of the quarterback is a bit more off the hinge than back in the day. It took Aaron Rodgers at least 3 seasons to get behind Brett Favre before he became a Hall of Fame equivalent quarterback, or getting yourself into a good system. And now you're seeing that with quarterbacks like Caleb Williams. I gotta adjust over a turf style that is the Chicago Bears franchise, just like it is over with Justin Fields, like it was with Zach. Oh God, how it was with Marcus Mariota. Quarterbacks that just had a tough time adjusting. Tua Tagovailoa has now suffered his third concussion in 3 seasons. You could even say the same thing about quarterbacks that had respectable careers but just shut off because of injury, like Andrew Luck, all pro potential, but sadly cut his career short because of health costs. And the physicality of the game can't always be adjusted if you already push these quarterbacks off the bat and you don't let the veteranship lead. So right now we have Marcus May. That was like a first-round pick over the New England Patriots, and currently they're doing a well-done job with a new head coach over in the regime that's picking up a heavily more advanced defensive scheme and a more competent quarterback with Jacoby Brissett that has a tenure in the NFL. And you're just feeding quarterbacks over in the dogs when they already don't have the pass protection. Can't adjust over to the schemes when you're pressing them over to this high expectation to try to put your franchise back on the map after pushing them over to the gutter to even fight for this guy. And you're not going to let him develop like a Trey Lance. And then you push him over, trading over to another franchise that's not going to even give you the light of day, because Dak Prescott's 30 now? So still having a bit more snaps in him. So, and now that the quarterback position is incredibly rushed because every franchise, I would say, we're looking for the guy. And the expectation to be pushed over could be limited to either underperforming after an all-pro season or results. That's a fair assessment. Probably your style of play can't really get you deeper than a first-round trip, a la Ryan Tannehill. And the physicality can play a fatigue to many dual threat quarterbacks that possibly can't really develop that well, or quarterbacks that are battered beyond repair or just never pushed over the fundamentals. So as soon as you already got them the contract, they can barely do a read over an in route for 5 yards. I think the expectation for quarterbacks has been lifted around for what we had over in the past when you had Ben Roethlisberger, Kurt Warner, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Carson Palmer when he was a notable top 10 quarterback back in the day. Donovan McNabb. Even Kirk Cousins at a time was a more well-renowned quarterback. Aaron Rodgers. Now we have that with Patrick Mahomes. You could say Trevor Lawrence. Now we're getting C.J. Stroud over in the mix. That got himself in a respectable system with a great coach, developing a very exciting young receiving core on paper that is possibly going to push over in the division. And that is like a few and far between. The only like respectable All-Pro starting quarterbacks that you have right now is possibly Mahomes. You could say, I guess, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, even though I don't think so, and Dak Prescott, that at least has a tenure. He's been the starting quarterback on the Cowboys since 2015, and got into playoff spurts and led the NFC East for a while, but not really produced anything beyond that. The majority are dealing like hot potatoing over first overall picks that are barely pushing you over a tenure because of the higher expectation, and then you batter them over with the bare minimum to build over a system, because most franchises are pushing over to just find the guy to just do something with nothing. And then you still come off fighting up the gutter. That's why certain franchises are still like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years behind even finding themselves over postseason success. I swear to you. And it happens. The same thing happened when the Browns were trying to push over for Deshaun Watson. And even though the cash was necessary to push over for a competent veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix can learn under that over the veteranship of Kirk Cousins, and have the extent that you could just trade him over for scraps over his expiring contract. So there is nothing wrong with trying to purchase over a veteran that knows the system, has the tenure, can have the experience, has a better arm, and fundamentally can push over the quarterback that's going to be using just raw ability and athleticism alone. And that might ruin quarterbacks like currently Anthony Richardson, that's shown that we've seen what we were missing after he got injured for the rest of the season with the Indianapolis Colts. And you saw him getting into a massive shootout with, not literally, but a massive matchup with C.J. Stroud, where most people were possibly expecting the Colts to get shut out that game. So it can't always be dependent over just having just over the raw ability and being a first overall pick. Sometimes it's necessary to just season up your quarterbacks and to develop over, so they can actually learn the system, learn the snaps, know the receivers without getting pushed down the mud, because you're going to be taken down by guys that are a lot faster, stronger, and just more equipped to know the systems that are going to be thrown by a guy that doesn't know what's going on in the NFL. And that's a bit harsh to just push over to quarterbacks that had to deliver as a second string, like an Aaron Rodgers, like even Russell Wilson. Had to start behind over Matt Flynn for a few games before he got over to a massive spurt and then became part of the Legion of Boom. So I guess it's just a paradigm shift for like developing way too fast over a minimum, over a contact sport. It is ridiculous. The same thing can be done for plenty of franchises like you see in the MLS. As soon as these guys get above average, they'll go straight to Europe. Just like you'll see in the NBA. I mean, the basketball system in general. AAU kills these young talented guys. And now you're pushing them over in the college system. And then they barely even know how to adapt over the NFL system. And you don't season them out. Learn how to endure, listen to the coaching staff, watch the games, make sure he's learning under and getting ready to play a snap when he knows how the NFL actually feels. That's what happened to even Patrick Mahomes. I haven't even seen Patrick Mahomes in his first season start since week 17. I think it was around the 2017 season when Alex Smith was still starting for the Kansas City Chiefs. He started around the Denver Broncos. I don't know. I don't remember if he came out winning that game, but you saw over the bright spot of what it looks like when you see a quarterback that took the time, listened, played under, even though the quarterback wasn't producing as much as the Chiefs wanted. Even though I think the Chiefs are always still a fringe competitive team in the AFC. And now we got a 3-time Super Bowl champion. The guy's not even 30 yet. So it's a bit hard over to depict always when it feels like just a nostalgia is like always playing over a factor. When there's like a lot of great quarterbacks out there that are just yet to be seen or just yet over to be developed. Even how dwindling and how I guess replaceable the running back position is more devalued than the quarterback position. And we're just pushing this over like quarterbacks nowadays are just overly reliant on just using their dual threat ability without using a smart read. And yet you try to get them third down and they're still converting over overthrow targets or they're too scared to find a secondary option, or they're still too, incredibly pressured over to hold over to the ball or just throw it out when they still can't find a target. It's initial depiction that I feel like is a necessity for a lot of teams to find that competent starting quarterback, even if he doesn't have the best resume. You can win with a Trent Dilfer. It is perfectly fine. Trent Dilfer is going to be still world-renowned on the Baltimore Ravens franchise for helping them, even though they're more known for their defense, to get them a championship. Jared Goff is one of the highest paid quarterbacks, even though he's possibly not considered an all-pro to most casual fans out there. But guess what? He's a Super Bowl champion. And we know plenty of legends out there that are Super Bowl champions out in the NFL. And they're possibly not going to be considered over Hall of Fame worthy. Hell, you could even say the same thing for Eli Manning, even though he's well-renowned for being Peyton Manning's brother. Also, 2-time Super Bowl champion, upsetting Tom Brady in both Super Bowls. I think he only had a 3,000-yard season when the 2015 season, when they got eliminated over in the wild card round in the individual season, because he hasn't been really given that much of versatility depth, except Braxton Berrios around that time. And he wasn't really much of a depictable pocket passer like everybody else in the NFL around that time, except a few spurts of dual threat ability but fundamental skill to actually get reads to just try to bite the clock, keep the game under your control, get the reads and find completions to keep the game so you can score some points and take control of the game. And sometimes just being a game manager is just more efficient than just finding a gun, a deep ball threat that can also get over a read option. You can use them for red zone schemes. Like, it's not Kansas State, guys. It's not college football. And the NFL proves it. But that's my thoughts on the matter. Tell me how you guys feel down below in the comment section. I'm a bit more in the gray area of things when it comes to the quarterback controversy, because I feel like the expectations of many fans are just riding over in nostalgia, or just too high over expectations without letting a development go. And it could be because of the system or the defenses. There's always an on and off depiction, but I feel like it's too high of a pressure for some of the newer quarterbacks to even adjust to. That's it for me.